Begin the Gemara today towards the bottom of Daf Kaf Yud Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom of the Amud. So the Gemara here is going back to what it said in the Mishnah, Ketana v'chareshes. A person is married midrabanan to a Ketana and a Chareshes. Both of these marriages are not min haTorah. So the Mishnah said that if he dies and then there's a mitzvah of Yibum, so usually the halacha of Yibum is that you meyabim one wife and the other wife is pater. That's always the halacha, the tzara is pater. But over here, by these two wives, the Ketana and the Chareshes, because it's not clear which marriage is a stronger marriage. They're both only a marriage midrabanan, but which marriage does the husband really want? So therefore you can't do Yibum for one and pater the other. So what do you have to do? If he wants both of them to be mutter, to get married to anybody, what do you do? Keitza takanosam. We read this already, but I'm going to go over the Gemara again. Keitza takanosam. So what is it that you do? Amar Rav Chisda Amar Rav. So Rav Chisda said in the name of Rav, Kaines achareshes umaitzia beget. He's going to marry first the chareshes. He'll be miyavim the chareshes, and then maitzia beget. He's going to have to divorce her. Uketana tamtin achetagdol v'tachleitz. The Ketana, so he's going to have to wait until she's going to be a Gedaila, and then she can do Chalitza for him. So once the Ketana, which is not Gedaila, will do Chalitza, so usually once you do Yibum for one wife, this Yevamos, anything else that you would do to the other wife does not anymore take effect at all. You already were Meyavim one, and what you did later doesn't take effect at all. But over here, because this is a marriage midrabanan, and we don't know which one is stronger and which one is weaker, so when you do the chalitza of this gedaila now, so then his marriage to this chareshes cannot stay anymore in effect. He's not allowed to be married to her if he did chalitza to another Yevamos. Once you do chalitza, you can't be married to another wife. Sorry. So if this chalitza took effect, so then how could he stay married to this Yevamos? So therefore, he's going to have to divorce this chareshes that he did Yibum for. So that's mat to her, to get married to whoever she wants. And also chalitza. Chalitza is done for this Ketana here, and now, which is now a Gedaila, and now she can get married to whoever she wants. So Rav Chisda said, based on this, what Rav said, this eitzah of what you do here, to be misakin, that they can both get married to whoever they want. Shma mina, from here we see Kesava Rav, that Rav's opinion is Chareshes, Knuya Umeshuyeres, Ketana, Knuya, Ve'ena Knuya. Okay, so before I read the Gemara inside and translate this, let me just explain the introduction that Rashi gives here to the Gemara. We see from the Mishnah that both a Chareshes and a Ketana, which is only a marriage midrabanan, but the status of their marriage is not exactly the same. So Rashi says that one of them, when the Gemara here says Chareshes Knuya Mushuyeres, what it means is there's a kinyan here, there is a marriage, but there is a leftover to this marriage, meaning it's an incomplete marriage. Because it's only a marriage midrabanan. That's the status of the marriage of the Chareshes. Ketana, but when it comes to a Ketana, Knuya ve'ena Knuya, what does this mean? The marriage of a Ketana, the way we view it here is that it's a suffix. Could be that it's considered to be a complete marriage, or we view it as no marriage at all, since she was only a Ketana and the marriage was only done for a certain purpose midrabanan, but now when it comes to Yibum, it's not viewed as marriage at all. So it's a suffix. Rashi says that you cannot say that both the Chareshes and the Ketana have the same status as marriage midrabanan, because that's the point that we see from the Mishnah, that they don't have the same status of marriage midrabanan, and therefore the Yibum of one will not pater the other, or the Chalitza of one will not pater the other. So they have a different kind of status of marriage. And now this concept here that we see, that one of them has a status of a marriage which is sort of a suffix. Could be we consider it to be a full marriage, or we consider it to be no marriage at all. That's something that we see from the next Mishnah that we're going to learn soon. So the question is, if we know that their marriage is not the same, and one of them, their marriage is going to be an incomplete marriage, and another one we view the marriage as a suffix marriage, maybe complete or maybe nothing. Which one is which? So Rav Chisda says that from Rav I see that the Chareshes is the one that's an incomplete marriage, and the Ketana is the one that there's a suffix whether this marriage is considered to be a marriage at all. And the Gemara explains, if you're going to say that the reverse is true, Chareshes Knuya ve'ena Knuya, that the Chareshes is the one that is a suffix if this is a marriage at all, and Ketana Knuya Mishuyeres, And on the other hand, the ketana is an incomplete marriage. It's a marriage midrabbanan which is incomplete. So if so, what did Rav say before? Rav said that the chareshes, in this case, when he's married to the chareshes and the ketana, what do? First, he marries the chareshes, and then after he's going to do chalitza for this ketana that's now a gedayla, he's going to have to give a get to the chareshes. He can't continue staying married to her. The chalitza to the gedayla does not allow him to stay married to the chareshes. Why not? Chareshes amai koines umitzia beget. Why would he have to marry this chareshes and then send her away with a get after he does chalitza for this ketana that's now a gedayla? Teisav gabei, let her remain married to him mimanavshach. And either way you look at it, her marriage is perfectly fine. If you're going to say that the kinyan of the chareshes is a real kinyan. So again, we're saying now, if the approach here would be that the chareshes, the marriage of the chareshes is in doubt, maybe it's a real marriage, or maybe it's no marriage at all. So if her marriage to the brother that passed away was a marriage, so then haknuyahi. So then she's the one that's fully, completely married to the brother. And if so, the mitzvah of yibum is done specifically with her. So once he married her, so then he can remain married with her. And whatever chalitza is done later with the ketana, that doesn't affect this marriage. The chalitza with the ketana, which is a incomplete marriage, is not going to affect the marriage that he already had with this chareshes, which was a complete marriage and therefore a complete yibum. And v'ilav knuyahi, and if her marriage, the marriage of the chareshes, is not considered to be a marriage at all, so hanachris ba'almihi. So then she's just a woman from the street that has nothing to do over here with this entire yibum. So the fact that he did chalitza for the ketana should not affect the fact that he previously married this chareshes. This chareshes, her marriage is not a marriage. In other words, the marriage to the brother that passed away is not a marriage. And now he's like just marrying a woman from the street. So why can't she remain married? Mimanavshach. So the fact that Rav says that this chareshes that he married will now have to leave with a get after he does chalitza for the ketana, the reason is because when he does chalitza for the ketana, which could be this ketana is really a full marriage, and therefore that chalitza has an effect even after he had the marriage to the chareshes, because the chareshes is an incomplete marriage. So therefore, after that chalitza, he's going to have to divorce this chareshes, which was only an incomplete marriage. That makes sense. But now the Gemara asks, the question would be, V'chi teime, but if so, if you'll argue and ask the question, so what are we going to say? So like Rav Chisda said, we see that Rav holds that the marriage of the ketana is a marriage which is in doubt. Maybe it's a marriage, and maybe it's not a marriage at all. So if so, regarding the ketana, what did Rav say? That the ketana should wait, and then when she becomes a gedayla, then I'll do chalitza for her. And now if you'll ask the question, Ketana, my tamtana chetagdul v'tachleitz, why should she wait and then have chalitza done when she becomes a gedayla? Teisav gabei, so the exact same svara that the Gemara said before, the mimanavshach, the Gemara said before regarding the chareshes, if we were to say that the chareshes is the one that is a suffix marriage, but now that you're saying regarding the ketana, that her marriage is a suffix, that maybe it's a complete marriage and maybe it's not a marriage at all, so if so, say the same thing regarding this ketana. Why should she have to wait to do chalitza? Let her get married to him, and then I'll say, iknuyahi, if she was married to the brother that passed away and it's a complete marriage, so haknuyahi, so she's the real wife, and he did yibum for her, and that's it, he can remain married to her forever. And the chareshes, will not ever disturb this, she's the real marriage. And ilav knuyahi, and if she's not really married at all, so then the chrisa ba'almi, so then she's just a stranger, a stranger from the street that he's marrying, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be allowed to marry her. So why does Rav say that the eitzah here is that the ketana has to wait until you do chalitza for her when she becomes a gedayla? Why? Answers the Gemara, you're right, as far as the ketana is concerned, she should be allowed to get married to him and remain married to him forever. But the problem though is, chareshes b'met tepuk. How is the chareshes going to be released over here? What's the heter going to be for her? For a chareshes, you can't do chalitza, as we learned before a few times. There's no chalitza for a chareshes, so you're going to leave the chareshes for what? She can't do any yibum, and there's no chalitza possible for her either. So how's the chareshes going to be released over here? So that's why Rav says you do the opposite, let her marry the chareshes, and then afterwards he'll do chalitza for the ketana, and then he'll have to give a get to the chareshes as well. Amar Rav Sheishe, so Rav Sheishe said, Hoche nami mistavra. Kedi komentaretz Rav Chisda alibe de Rav. This svara that Rav Chisda said here, explaining Rav's opinion, makes sense as we see over here in the Braise that the Gemara will bring. So this is going to prove this point, that the Chareish's marriage is an incomplete marriage. And the marriage of the Ketana is a marriage which is a suffix. Maybe it's a marriage and maybe it's not a marriage at all. And we can prove this from the following Braise. The Tanya, the Braise says, Shnei Yachin, Nesuin, Shtei Achoyos, 2 brothers are married, 2 sisters. Yisaymais, Ketana v'Chareishes. So one is married to a Ketana and the other is married to a Chareishes. So again, these are 2 marriages that are only midrabanan. But as we said before, the way Rav Chisda understands this, according to Rav, the marriage of the Ketana is a suffix, if it's a marriage or not a marriage at all. And Chareishes is a marriage which is a incomplete marriage. So now there's 2 things that could happen here. So either what happened is, Meis Baila Shel Ketana. If the husband of the Ketana passed away, so now this Ketana is up for Yibum. So what happens? Chareishes Yaitze Beget. The Chareishes is going to have to leave with a get, because it could be that this marriage of the Ketana is a real marriage, and the marriage of the Chareishes is only a partial marriage. So therefore, now that he has a zika to this Ketana, and that's a real marriage, so therefore this is going to aser the Chareishes, which is only a partial marriage, to continue being married to him. So therefore, the Chareishes is going to have to leave with a get. A Ketana, but at the same time though, the Ketana as well, Tamtin ad shetagdil v'tachleitz. She's going to have to wait until she becomes a Gedaila, and then she does Chalitza. She can't go get married to this person, which is married at least partially to her sister, to the Chareishes, so she'll have to wait for Chalitza. So that's in the case where the Ketana was up for Yibum. Meis Baila Shel Chareishes, if the reverse happens, if the Chareishes is the one that's up for Yibum, her husband passed away. So now, again, the halach is going to be Ketana Yaitze Beget. The Ketana is going to have to leave with a get because the Chareishes is going to ask her, because it's possible that the Ketana, her marriage is not a marriage at all. Again, the Ketana, the status of the marriage of the Ketana is, maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's not a marriage at all. The status of the marriage of the Chareishes is that it's an incomplete marriage. So now, this Chareishes, which is up for Yibum, and this is a partial marriage with this Chareishes, will push away the marriage of the Ketana, because could be the Ketana is not married at all. So therefore, the Chareishes, which is at least partially married, that is, will push away this Ketana, which is just like living with this person, and she's not really married at all. So that's regarding the Ketana. She'll have to leave. But the Chareishes, Asura La'ilam, this Chareishes will be also forever, because she can't do Yibum, because her sister is at least, could be, there's a suffix, could be her sister is fully married to the husband here, to the one that she would have to do Yibum with. And she can't do Chalitza, she's a Chareishes, so she's going to be also forever. V'im ba ala Chareishes, if he was over, and he did go ahead, and he was miyavim this Chareishes. So, and that's after he divorced the Ketana. Right, so he's supposed to give her a get, and now he went ahead and married this Chareishes. He wasn't supposed to marry her because could be the Ketana is a real marriage, and therefore, how's he allowed to marry his sister? But he went ahead and married her anyways. So now what does he do? Naisin lo get v'hutra. So all he has to do is, he gives her a get, and she's going to become mutter. So as the Gemara is going to explain, why does he give her a get, and she becomes mutter? Because Mimanav Shach now, if he gives her a get, she's going to become mutter. Either she was not supposed to get married to him at all, she wasn't allowed to get married to him at all, because the marriage to the sister, which is the Ketana, was a real marriage, and therefore she's a sister here. So how could he marry her? So therefore this is not a marriage b'chlal, this is just a znus. So, and there's no mitzvah of Yibum at all. She can go get married to whoever she wants. And if the marriage of her sister, the Ketana, is not a real marriage, and therefore now when he married this Chareishes, this is really the mitzvah of Yibum, so now he gives her a get, and he divorced her, and she can go married to whoever she wants. So Mimanav Shach, she'll be mutter. So the Gemara explains this. Now, if you're going to say, like Rav Chisda said before, Chareishes, Knuya Meshiyeres. The Chareishes, this is an incomplete marriage. Ketana, Knuya Veina Knuya. The marriage of the Ketana is a marriage which is in doubt. Maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's not a marriage at all. Mishum hachi, so therefore this last point that we just said over here, the b'chiba ala chareshes. If you went ahead and married this chareshes, again, this person was married to the ketana, the sister, the ketana, and now this chareshes is up for yibum, so he's not supposed to marry her. Could be she's the sister's wife, but if you went ahead and married her anyways, we could understand why noisin lo get v'hutrad. Then it'll be enough for him to just give her a get and she'll become mutter. Because the amrit mimanavshach. Either way, you'll say that the get over here will be effective to be matter this chareshes. Why? If the ketana that he's now currently married to, which is the sister, and so it's a real kinyan, so hanafke mishum isha. So then she doesn't have to do this chareshes, doesn't need to do yivim at all. She's not allowed to do yivim. She's just an achais isha, and she's mutter to get married to whoever she wants. So if she went and got married to him, it's just as nus, it's nothing. It was no marriage. She got married to whoever she wants. Ilav knuya. But if the ketana that the Yavam is currently married to is not a kinyan at all, so then shapim miyavim. So then the yibum that he did for the chareshes is a real yibum. He's going to be married to her, and therefore he gives a get and he's mat to her. So the get will take effect. Eli yamred. But if you're going to say not like Rav Chisda, but it's the opposite, chareshes knuya ve'ene knuya. It's the chareshes, which is the one that there's a doubt whether her marriage is a marriage or not a marriage at all. And ketana is knuya mushieres. And the marriage to the ketana is considered to be an incomplete marriage. So then what happened over here? This yavam is married now to the ketana, an incomplete marriage. And now this chareshes falls for yivam to him, and this chareshes, there's a doubt. Maybe there's a full marriage, maybe there's not a full marriage at all. So if so, kibal chareshes. If he's not supposed to marry this chareshes, because there's a tzat to say, not a tzat to say. Actually, he's married already to the sister. He's married to the ketana, which according to the way we're looking at it now, the ketana is an incomplete marriage. So how could it be miyav this chareshes? If he's already partially married to a sister. But if he went ahead and he was over and he did get married to this chareshes, but amai noisen get for hutra, why would just giving her a get be mat to her completely? Havyele biya psula. This yibum that he did with her is a pasala yibum. Why is it a pasala yibum? Because he's being miyavim his yivame while he's married to her sister, at least partially. The marriage to the ketana, which is a sister, is an incomplete marriage, but he's married to her partially. So when he's being miyavim, this chareshes, so it could be this chareshes it was a real full marriage, and he's supposed to do yibum for her, but he can't do a proper yibum if the marriage to the ketana, the sister, is already in effect before, and it is a partial marriage here. So this is a biya psula. And what's the halacha by a biya psula? When you do a yibum, which is a pasala yibum, it's the incomplete yibum, and that's not a proper yibum. Biya psula le patra. When you do a biya psula, so the yibum didn't fully take effect, and therefore you're not going to be able to just give a get and patra just with the get alone. You're going to have to give a get, but because this yibum was pasal and it didn't take fully effect, you're going to have to do chalitza as well. So how could the Braisa say that you just give a get and that's all, and you can patra her? You're going to have to do chalitza as well, and in this case it's a chareshes. You can't do chalitza, so she's going to have a problem. So therefore it must be, like we said before, according to Rav Chisda, that it's the marriage of the chareshes, which is an incomplete marriage, and it's the marriage of the ketana, which is a suffix, whether it's a marriage or not. And therefore, if this yavam was married to the ketana, and now the chareshes falls for yibum, so mimanav shach, if he went and got married to this chareshes, did yibum for the chareshes, mimanav shach, if he gives her a get, she's going to be mutter. If the marriage to the ketana was a marriage, so then the chareshes is a sister, and there's no yibum at all. If the marriage to the ketana was not a marriage, so then the marriage to the chareshes is a perfect marriage, and you can just give her a get now. So this proves like Rav Chisda. But the Gemara says, not necessarily. There's another opinion that we could explain this Braisa according to. Says the Gemara, what's your question here? The question is that a pasala bia does not pater this woman. You can't pater this woman just with a get. You'll have to give her chalitza as well. But we could say there's an opinion that argues on this. Hamani Rab Nechemia, possibly this Braisa goes according to the opinion of Rab Nechemia, which was quoted earlier in the Masechta. The Amar Rav Nechemia says, Bia psula peteres mechalitza. A bia of yibum, which is pasul, it's not a full bia. It's not this over here, like over here in this case, because he's already married to a sister, a katana, which is an incomplete marriage. So therefore, it pasels this yibum as well. But nevertheless, it's partially a yibum. So therefore, it will pater from chalitza. So it goes according to Rav Nechemia. So even if we're going to say, not like Rav Chisda, even if we're going to say that the marriage of the katana is an incomplete marriage, and the marriage of the chareshes is a suffix, maybe it's a full marriage and maybe not, and therefore this is a case where you have a bia psula of yibum, but still you could pater with a get alone and not with chalitza. Rav Nechemia holds by a bia psula of yibum, you don't need chalitza. So maybe that's who this brayse is going according to. Says the Gemara, okay, this part of the brayse, it could be explained according to Rav Nechemia. But how about the seif of this brayse? It's not going to fit with Rav Nechemia. Hey, seif, what does it say in the seif of the brayse? If there's one person, and he's married to two yisaimis, ketana v'chareshes. So as Rashi says, the chareshes is not necessarily a yisaima, but he's married to two women, a ketana and a chareshes. And this ketana and a chareshes are not related to one another. And it's one person there. So that's in the first case of this brayse, it's speaking about two brothers that are married to two sisters, a katana and a chareshes. Here we're speaking about one person that's married to a katana and a chareshes that are not related to one another. Umeis, and now he passes away. So now the katana and the chareshes are up for yibum. This was the case of our Mishnah, where it spoke about this halacha when a katana and a chareshes are up for yibum. So the halacha is that one does not pater the other. Now what happens if this brayse here adds and says as follows? Ba yavam ala katana, if the yavam went ahead and was miyavam the katana, v'chazaru ba la chareshes, and after this he comes and he marries the chareshes, or another brother comes and marries the chareshes. So then nesru shtei and olav, both the katana and the chareshes are going to be aser on him because he married both of them. Both are going to be aser on him. So Rashi says that the Isser over here, for this katana that he married first, why would the katana be a kam Asr? It's really only a Gezeira midrabanan. Because as we said, according to Rav Chisda, what's the status of the marriage of the katana? The katana is a suffix. Either it was a full marriage or it's not a marriage at all. So if so, once he's miyavim, the brother now, is miyavim this katana, so mimanav shach, there should be no reason why he can't continue living with this katana even after he is miyavim the chareshes as well, or a brother is miyavim the chareshes. Why? If the katana was a full marriage, so that's the marriage. He's married to the katana, and the chareshes, which is only an incomplete marriage midrabanan, will not disturb the marriage of the katana, which is a complete marriage. On the other hand, if the katana, his marriage is not considered to be a marriage at all, so it's like marrying a katana, which is a isha min ashuk, just a woman, a stranger. There's no reason why the marriage of the chareshes afterwards should disturb that marriage. So really, the Rashi explains that the reason why over here this katana will become puzzle for him as well is all a gzeira midrabanan. And the gzeira midrabanan is because in a case, the Gemara is going to soon explain, if what happened was in the reverse, that first he married the chareshes, which is an incomplete marriage, and only afterwards he marries the katana, which is a marriage that's in doubt. So in such a case, the marriage of the katana will passel the marriage of the chareshes, because the marriage of the katana could be, it's a suffix marriage, so the marriage of the katana could be a complete marriage, and therefore this complete marriage of the katana will passel the chareshes, which is only partially married, from this whole yibum. Because the real yibum is the yibum of the katana, and the yibum of the chareshes was not the real yibum. So therefore the yibum of the katana will passel the chareshes. So therefore Chachamim were geyser that even in the reverse, when he married the katana first and then the chareshes, that should also be asur. So not to confuse these two cases, so in both orders, whether he married the chareshes first or married the katana first, they both become asur. Okay, now the Braisa says, Keitza takanasan. So what is the takana? Now that they're both asur to be married to him, so what do? Chareshes yaitze beget. So this chareshes, which is an incomplete marriage, so she leaves with a get. There's no problem. And now katana, what do you do with the katana? For the katana, a get will not be enough. Tamtin achetagdil. the Ketana that he married first, so she's going to have to wait until she becomes a Gedoyla and V'tachleitz. And then she'll have to have Chalitza. A get won't be enough. You'll have to have Chalitza. And only after Chalitza will she become Mutter. So this is the part of the Braisa that the Gemara is going to focus on here. When it says regarding this Ketana, that because he married the Chareshes after the Ketana, so now you're going to have not only a get, but also Chalitza. So what's the pshat here in this Braisa? So the Gemara explains. If you're going to say, like Rav Chisda said according to Rav, Chareshes Kenuya Mushiyeres. The Chareshes is an incomplete marriage. That's the status of the marriage of the Chareshes. Ketana Kenuya Ve'ene Kenuya. And the way we understand the marriage of the Ketana is that it's a doubt. Maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's not considered to be a marriage at all. V'Rabbanani. And this Braisa here is going like the opinion of the Rabbanan, which argued with Rab Nechemya, and that is that if there's a Bia Ksheira, if there's a Yibum which is kosher, so then you can just give her a get. But if it's a Yibum which is a Pasala Yibum, the marriage of the Yibum something was wrong with it, so then you're going to need Chalitza as well. So it's going according to the Rabbanan. So Mishum Hachi, so now according to this, it makes sense what the Braisa says. Tamtin Achetagdol V'tachleitz. That this Ketana will have to wait and also have a Chalitza when she becomes a Gedoyla. And why is this? What's this Isser on this Ketana and what's this Gzeira based on? Because over here, Taka, what happened? He first married the Ketana and then he married the Charesha. So like I said before, really in this case for the Ketana, there's no issue. This Ketana, which is a suffix if it's a full marriage or maybe it's not a marriage at all, so there's no issue with him staying married. But there's a Gzeira because of the reverse, of the opposite scenario. What would have happened if he first would have married the Chareshus first? The Avila Bia the Ketana Bia Psula. So in such a case, when he marries the Ketana afterwards, so the Bia of the Ketana is considered to be a Bia Psula. Because once he's already married to the Chareshes, so that's an incomplete marriage. So, but he's already partially married over here to this Chareshes. So now the Bia of the Ketana is this Yibum of the Ketana is an incomplete Yibum. Because he's already married to the Chareshes, at least partially. So the second Yibum is not a complete Yibum. Could be you already did Yibum for the first wife, for this Ketana. So the second Yibum is considered to be an incomplete Yibum. The halacha by Yibum always is, you can't be Miyavim two wives. You can't be Baina two of the wives here. So if the first Yibum is a Yibum, so then the Bia of the Ketana, it's a partial Yibum that is. The Chareshes is already a partial Yibum. That's the status of the marriage of a Chareshes. So then the Bia of the Ketana is going to be Pasal. So therefore we understand why the Ketana, which her Yibum is a Pasal Yibum, so therefore for the Ketana, it's not going to be enough to have a get. You're going to have Chalitza as well. Because again, according to the Rabbanon, that's the halacha of a Pasal Yibum. Over here, this is a Pasal Yibum. Again, the reason why it's a Pasal Yibum is because he already married the Chareshes first, and that's a partial marriage. So now the Yibum of the Chareshes, of the Ketana that is, which follows, you can't say it's not a Yibum at all, because could be the Ketana is a full real marriage, much stronger than the marriage of the Chareshes before. So therefore could be that the Yibum of the Ketana is a real Yibum. But even if it is a real Yibum, but he already was Miyabim the previous wife, at least with a partial marriage. So therefore now this second Yibum is not a full Yibum. It's a puzzle, it's incomplete, it's not a good Yibum. So therefore in this case the Rabbanan say that you can't just give a get. You're going to have to give Chalitza as well. So that's why the Braisa says that the Ketana has to wait until you give Chalitza. Ele Yamret, however, if you're going to say Rab Nechemya, that the Seifa of this Braisa here follows the opinion of Rab Nechemya. In other words, we're going to say that the Seifa of this Braisa is not going according to Rav Chisda, and really the opposite of what Rav Chisda said is true, that the marriage of the Ketana is considered to be an incomplete marriage. And the marriage of the Chareshes is a suffix. Maybe it's a full marriage, and maybe it's not a full marriage. So what happened? He was Miyabim the Ketana first, and the Ketana is an incomplete marriage. And then afterwards, he did the Yibum for the Chareshes. So if it goes according to Rab Nechemya, so then the question is, why should the Ketana have to wait for Chalitza? Ha'amar, Rab Nechemya says, Bia Psula Patra, that even if we're going to consider this to be a Pasala Bia of this Ketana is an incomplete, his marriage is an incomplete marriage. Even if we're going to consider this to be a Bia Psula, but still, according to Rab Nechemya, a Bia Psula, in the case of Yibum, you could be pater just with a get. You don't need any chalitza either. So again, the point over here is, if we're going to understand, not like Rav Chisda, rather we're saying that this brayso holds that the bia of the ketana is an incomplete marriage, and the bia of the chareshes is a suffix. Maybe it's a complete marriage, maybe it's not a complete marriage. So then, what's the story with the bia of this ketana? So really, as Rashi points out, the bia of the ketana is not really a bia psula. There's nothing that's possible about this bia here. I mean, the bia of the ketana, it's an incomplete marriage. So it's a weak bia, it's a shvache bia, but it's not really a possible bia. But Rashi says, even if you're going to say that because the bia of this ketana is a shvache bia, it's a weak bia. Why? Because the bia of a ketana is an incomplete marriage, so therefore that itself is a reason why we say that it has a status of a bia psula, of a yibum which is possible. But if we're following Rav Nechemiah's opinion, if that's according to this, the Reish is Rav Nechemiah and the Seif is Rav Nechemiah. So if we're following Rav Nechemiah's opinion, according to Rav Nechemiah, a bia psula will now allow this woman to just receive a get and be totally potter, and she doesn't need a chalitza. So why would the Braisa say that the ketana has to wait for chalitza as well? So according to Rav Nechemiah, it doesn't fit. Why do you have to wait for the get, for the chalitza that is? So therefore, the Gemara says, Elo shma mina Rabbanani. So therefore, this seifa of this Braisa proves that we're going according to the Rabbanan. Shma mina. So this proves that it goes according to the Rabbanan. So this proves the point that we said before. This Braisa proves, like Rav Chisda said, according to Rav, that the bia of a ketana is a suffix, if it's a marriage or not, and the marriage of the chareshes is an incomplete marriage. Ravashi said, Mereishe nami shma mina d'Rabbanani. From the Reisha of this Braisa that we quoted before, what was the Reisha? The case over there was two brothers that were married to two sisters. One was a ketana and one was a chareshes. So from there as well, we can see that this goes according to the Rabbanan. The ketani, what did it say over there? In Baal chareshes. So the first case over there was, not the first case actually, it was the second case of the Reisha. In the case where the chareshes was up for Yibum, and he's not supposed to be miyabimer, because could be that he's already married to the ketana, and could be the marriage to the ketana is a real marriage, so he can't do Yibum for the chareshes, which is a sister. So be'im ba'al chareshes, if he went ahead and married the chareshes anyways, nice and laget v'hotra. So then he gives her a get, and then she'll be mutter. That's what the Braisa said before. But v'loi ketani, the Braisa does not say the same regarding the reverse. In the very first case of that Braisa, when the ketana, he's married to the brother here now, is married to a chareshes, and the ketana now is up for yibum. The brother that was married to the ketana passes away, and now the ketana is up for yibum. And over here as well, because he's married to this chareshes, so he can't do yibum for this ketana, because could be this ketana is not a marriage at all, so he can't do yibum for this ketana. So what did it say? Because he's already married to a sister. He's already married to the sister, the charesha. So it says in Baal ketana. Now the Braisa does not mention that in Baal ketana he's not supposed to marry this ketana that's up for yibum. But if he did marry this ketana, naisen lo get v'hotra, he gives her a get and she'll be mutter. So why doesn't the Braisa say this? Now when he marries this ketana, this marriage to the ketana would be a bia pesula. If we're going to follow the opinion of Rav Nechemiah that the status of a ketana is that it's an incomplete marriage, and the status of the chareshes is that it's a suffix, maybe it's a marriage and maybe it's not a marriage, so then it's going to come out that the bia for this ketana is a bia psula. So therefore, if we're following Rav Nechemiah's opinion, the Braisa should say this as well, that Noisun lo get v'hotra. According to Rav Nechemiah, you give a get, and even though the yibum, the bia here was a bia psula, but you give a get, and the get alone, according to Rav Nechemiah, could pater completely without chalitza, even though this was a pasala bia. So why doesn't the Braisa say this, according to Rav Nechemiah? So the Gemara says this is not a question. You're wondering why the Braisa didn't give this eitzah, why it didn't talk about this case. This is not a question on the Braisa. Chareshes, the les lotakanta, regarding the case of the chareshes that fell for Yibum here, where she has no way out. There's really no heta for her because she's going to have to do chalitza, but she can't do chalitza. So therefore, since there's no way to fix her situation in a way that's permitted, katani takante di yisura. So the Braisa goes out of its way to say what could be done in a scenario where b'di'evet he went and married this chareshes even though he wasn't supposed to, that then he will be able to give her a get, and now she'll be totally mutter. But Ketana, the Isla, Takanta the Teira, but regarding the Ketana, where there is a way to fix her situation in a way which is permitted, let her just wait until she becomes a Gedaila and he gives her a Chalitza and then everything is good. So there's no reason, like Tani Takanta the Isura. So the Braisa doesn't bring up this scenario of a Bidiyeved if he went and married the Ketana. He wasn't supposed to marry her. It doesn't bring it up because it gives you an eitzah of what you could do in a way that's permitted. A person is married to Yisaimis that are ketanis, umeis, and he passes away. And the Yavam was miyavim one of these ketanis, one of the wives here. So he marries one of them, and then he goes and marries a second one, which is not what you usually do. You're not allowed to do this by Yivum, to be miyavim both of them. So he marries one and then he marries the other. Or one of the other brothers went and did Yibum for the second one. Loi pasal Esther Rishayna. So the fact that he was miyavim the second ketana, the second wife, which is also a ketana, does not pasal the first one that he already married. And this Mishnah as well is based on the point we said before regarding the status of the marriage of a ketana, that when it comes to this ketana that falls for Yibum, so we're not sure what we consider this marriage to be. The status of the marriage of a ketana is either it's a suffix, either it's considered to be a marriage or it's not a marriage at all. So therefore, Mimanav Shach, the first one that he married is married. Either he did the mitzvah of Yibum or she's just like a stranger and he went ahead and married her. But not the second one though. The second one you'll not be able to stay married to because could be that the first one he already did the mitzvah of Yibum, and therefore he's not allowed to marry the second one at all, because there's the issue of Shnei Batim, as Rashi already says. Once you marry the first one, you can't do Yibum for the second one. V'chein beis chareishais ketana v'chareishas. Sorry, it's not read separately. V'chein beis chareishais, the same halacha will apply also when you have two chareishais, and you marry the first and you marry the second, so the second does not passel the first. Ketana v'chareshes. So if this person was married to a ketana and a chareshes, and ba yavam ala ketana, the yavam married the ketana, v'chazar ba ala chareshes, and then he married the chareshes. Ashba achal ala chareshes. One of the brothers married the chareshes. Pasal es a ketana. So then this will passel the ketana as well. So this goes back to, we had this point already before in the Braisa, even though really there's no reason to passel the ketana, because by the ketana there's a suffix if her marriage is a marriage or not. So Mimanav Shach, when he marries this ketana, it should be okay. Either he did the mitzvah of Yibum or she's a stranger from the street that he's marrying. But there's a gzeira because of the reverse case, which the Mishnah will bring right here, which is ba yavam ala chareshes. If he first marries the chareshes, which the status of a chareshes is an incomplete marriage, the chazar ba ala ketana, and then he marries the ketana, or the brother marries the ketana, so then pasal is a chareshes. So then this pasals the chareshes because the marriage of the ketana could be a complete marriage, and therefore it pasals the marriage of the chareshes, which was an incomplete marriage. Pikachas v'chareshes, if this person was married to a pikachas and a chareshes, a regular healthy woman and a chareshes, and then he passes away, and now ba yavam ala pikachas, the yavam marries the pikachas first, and then v'chazar ba ala chareshes, and then he marries the second wife as well, the chareshes. Ashba achav ala chareshes, so one of the other brothers marries the chareshes. The fact that he married afterwards the second wife, the chareshes as well, will not passel the first marriage with the pikachas. The pikachas is the healthy woman. This is the real marriage minatayra. The fact that he also afterwards marries the other wife, which is only a marriage midrabanan or incomplete marriage, doesn't affect any at all the first marriage, which was a complete marriage. If first he marries the wife, which is a chareshes, an incomplete marriage, and the chazar of bala pikachas, and then afterwards he goes and marries the healthy wife, the pikachas. So one of the brothers marries the pikachas. Then pasal is a chareshes. So then he passes the chareshes. The real marriage is the marriage of the pikachas. So now he passes the yibum that he did with the chareshes, which was an incomplete marriage. And similar, the halach is with a gedayla and a ketana. If this person was married to a gedayla, which is a complete marriage minat Torah, and then he was married also to a ketana, which is a marriage which is a suffix if it's a marriage at all. Ba Yavam ala Gedola. So if the Yavam first marries the woman which is the Gedola, then v'chazo ba la Ketana, and then he marries the Ketana, or Sheba achal of a Ketana, or a brother marries the Ketana, le pasal is a Gedola. This will not passel the Gedola, which is a complete and full marriage minatayra, and there's no sfeikis in this. But if ba Yavam ala Ketana, or ba v'chazar or ba la Gedola, if first the Yavam married the Ketana, so this is a bia, this is a yibum, which is a suffix if it's a yibum or not. And then v'chazar ba la Gedola, and then he comes and he marries the Gedola, oy sheba achav ala Gedola. Or a brother married the Gedola, so over here, pasal es ketana. So in such a case, he will pasal the ketana, which is a suffix b'chlal if it's a marriage or not. Rabbi Lazar says, melamdin ha-ketana shetemon bay. We teach the ketana that she should be memayin, and once the ketana is going to be memayin, so then the Gedola could stay married to him. If the ketana is not going to be memayin, so since the marriage of the ketana is a suffix, maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's not a marriage, so the marriage of the ketana is not going to allow the Gedola to stay married to him. So therefore we teach the ketana to be memayin, and now the Gedola will be able to stay married to him. Amar Rav Yudah Amar Shmuel, so Rav Yudah said in the name of Shmuel, halacha ke Rabbi Lazar. We paskin like Rabbi Lazar in this Mishnah, that we teach the ketana to be memayin. V'chein Amar Rabbi Lazar. And so too Rabbi Lazar said, this is Rabbi Lazar ben Pedas, which was a Meire, that halacha Rabbi Lazar, that we paskin like Rabbi Lazar of our Mishnah, which is a Tana. So the Gemara utzriche. Now we need this that they said that the halacha here is like Rabbi Lazar, that we teach the ketana to do miyun, even though we had a similar thing that was already taught before, and over there as well they said that we paskin like Rabbi Lazar. So this was the halacha before. This is going back to our Mishnah on Daf Kuftes Amar Aleph, where over there we're speaking about two brothers that are married to two sisters, and one is married to a ketana and one is married to a gedola. So if the one that's married to the gedola passes away, so now the one that's married to the ketana can't do yibum to the sister. So there, Rabbi Lazar says, no problem, we teach the ketana to be memayin, and now he could marry her sister, and he could do the mitzvah of yibum. And over there as well, before the Gemara said on Daf Kuf Yud, the halacha is like Rabbi Lazar, that we teach the ketana to be memayin. So why does it have to say it over here as well? So the Gemara explains, tzricher had to say it over here again. If we would say the halacha is like Rabbi Lazar only in the previous case, over there, Shmuel said the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Here it says in the Gemara Rabbi Eliezer. Sometimes it's Rabbi Lazar, sometimes it's Rabbi Eliezer. Anyways, here it says Rabbi Eliezer. So over there, when Shmuel said the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer, the reason is mishum de'leikiyah mitzvah yibum. Over there, the mitzvah of yibum was not fulfilled yet. You had this gedola that fell for yibum, and the Yavam is married to the Ketana, and he can't do the mitzvah of Yibum. So we teach the Ketana to be memayin, to refuse her marriage, so you can fulfill the mitzvah. So for the purpose of the mitzvah, you can teach her to do miyun. But over here, what's the case? That he already married both the Ketana and the Gedola. You weren't supposed to do both, do Yibum for both, but he did. He went ahead and did Yibum for both already. So he already did the mitzvah with both. So maybe Eimet Tarvai Lifke beget, let both of them give a get, and that's it. There's no reason to teach the Ketana at this point to be Memayin, so the Gedola should remain married to him. The mitzvah was already fulfilled. So that's why there's a chiddush over here, that even here we pass like Rebbe Lazar, that we do teach the Ketana to be Memayin, so the Gedola can remain married. On the other hand, via Shmina Baha, if we would only say over here that we teach the Ketana to be Memayin, then I would say, Mishum the Gedola, Ramya Kameh. Because over here, the case is that this Ketana and the Gedola that fell for Yibum are two wives from one marriage that fell for Yibum, and they both are in this mitzvah of Yibum. They're both a option for this mitzvah of Yibum. They're not sisters. What we're speaking about in our Mishnah is a Ketana and a Gedola, two wives of the same marriage that fell, either one, for Yibum. So over here, there's reason to say that because the Gedola is an option for this mitzvah, she has this mitzvah of Yibum, so let the Ketana be Memayin, so the Gedola could continue doing her mitzvah. Avol idoch, but in the previous case, what's the previous case speaking about? When you have a gedola that falls for Yibum, while the Yavam is married to her sister, a Ketana. So while the Yavam is married to a sister, a Ketana, so there's no mitzvah b'chlal of Yibum here. The Yavam is a chaysishtay, it's his wife's sister. So in the current state, there is no mitzvah of Yibum. If the Ketana will be Memayin and refuse the marriage, now there'll be a mitzvah of Yibum for the Gedolah. But in the current state, there is no mitzvah of Yibum. So maybe in this case, there's no reason to teach the Ketana to be Memayin to enable the opportunity for a mitzvah, if currently there is no mitzvah yet. So therefore, tzricha. We have to say that there as well, we pass like Rabbi Lazar, that we do teach the Ketana to be Memayin to give the Gedolah the opportunity for the mitzvah of Yibum. Sagt the Heilige Mishnah, Yavam, Katan, Shaba, Yavam, Ketana. The Yavam is a Katan, the Ketana is a Ketana, the Yavam that is a Ketana, and he's Miyabamer. So Yigdulu Zeh Im Zeh, so he has to wait. Even if he wants to divorce her now, he can't. He's a Katan, he can't divorce her now, so he's going to have to wait until she becomes a Gedolah. And then if he wants, he can divorce her, he can continue living with her. Baal Yavam Gedolah, if this Yavam, which is a Katan, got married, was Miyavim, this Yavama, which is a Gedolah. So again, he can't give her a get right now because he's still a Katan. So to Gadlanu, she has to live with him and wait until he becomes a Gedolah, a Gadol that is, and then he can give her a get if he wishes. Zakta Mishnah, another halacha, Hayavama Shamra. Yavama comes and says, now, it's within 30 days. She was living with her Yavam. She went and got married to her Yavam, and she was in the house. So she was living with the Yavam for 30 days, and she comes and says that now I'm not interested in staying married to him. And she has a get, actually. She has a get that her Yavam gave her. And now she has a get, and she says, okay, now that I have a get, so everything is fine. And she comes and says that loy nevalti, that he was not bail me ever. He was not bail me. Now, what happens if he was not bail her ever? So now he never was mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum. If he was not mekayim the mitzvah of Yibum, so the get that she has is worthless, really. He's going to have to give her a chalitza now. So in such a case, she comes and she says that she's basically making herself asur. I mean, she's saying that he never was bail her, so therefore she's going to have to give her chalitza. So if this happened within 30 days of her living with him, we trust her. We trust her that the husband, this Yavam, never lived with her, never necessarily had marital relations with her, and therefore the get she has is not enough, and she's going to have chalitza as well, and we force the husband to do the mitzvah and give her chalitza. But if he was living with her in the same house after 30 days, and now she has a get, and she comes along and says, but we never had marital relations, so the mitzvah of Yibum was never done, and I also need chalitza. And the husband argues and says, "What do you mean? We did have marital relations. There was a Yibum, so I don't have to give you. We don't have to have chalitza." So in such a case, the truth is we don't really trust her, because after 30 days, the assumption is that the husband definitely lived with her already and had marital relations, and the Yibum was done, and there's no need for chalitza. But she comes and tells us that she's saying about herself that she does need chalitza and that they never did live together. So this is what's called shavia nafsha chaticha disura. She's answering herself, even though we don't trust her. But if she answers herself, so namavakshin heimenu sheyach litzla. Even though we don't really trust her, but if she is answering herself, she can do this. And we ask the husband that he should give her chalitza sheyach litzla. If the husband himself is agreeing to her, the husband says that you're right, we were together in the same house, but I never lived with her, I never fulfilled the mitzvah of Yibum, so then I feel even if it's after a year time, we're going to force the husband to do chalitza. If this woman, she was still married to her previous husband while he was alive, and she got into a fight with her brother-in-law, and she made a neder that she'll have no anah from her brother-in-law. And now her husband passes away, and now she's up for Yibum, for this brother-in-law that she made a neder not to have anah from him. We force the Yavam to give her chalitza. She can't be married to him, she can't have anah from him. If she made this neder not to have anah from him after the mitzvah of Yibum was now in effect, and now she comes and makes a neder, I'm not going to have a nor from you. So it's pretty clear that she made the neder just with the purpose not to be able to do this mitzvah. So that's her fault. So So over here, we're not going to obligate him, but we're going to ask of the Yavam to go and do chalitza and release her. If even while the husband was alive, and we know that when she made this neder not to have anah from her brother-in-law, she did it with the purpose in order not to be able to do the mitzvah of yibum with him. So then also we can't obligate the brother when the husband passes away. We can't obligate the brother to do the mitzvah of yibum. So we could only ask of him to do chalitza for her. Zokta Mishnah, going back to the first case, so it said that we have a yavam, a cotton, that's married to a yavam, a katana. Shall we say our Mishnah does not follow the opinion of Rab Meir? The Tanya we learned in the Braisa earlier in the Masechta. Rab Meir says, cotton, a katana, when you have a cotton and a katana, lecheltzin, v'loy misyabim. There's no chalitza in this case, and there's no yibum either. Rab Meir, this is Rab Meir's opinion. So over here our Mishnah says that there is yibum and chalitza for a cotton and a katana. And says the Gemara, Rab Meir, it could even follow Rab Meir's opinion. Ki Yomer Rab Meir, when did Rab Meir say there's no chalitza for a yavam that is a cotton or a katana? Gedayla le-cotton, a katana le-gadol. If one of them is a gedayla, whether she's a gedayla or he's a gadol, in such a case, the chad minayu bid isudahu. Because for one of them, what's the reason of Rab Meir? According to Rab Meir, it's possible that for one of them this is going to be a bia suda, and that is because the whole mitzvah of yibum does not apply in a case where the husband is a sris, he can't have any children, or the woman is an islandess and she can't have any children. And that's not something we could know when they are a cotton or a katana. So when they become a gadol or a gedayla, it may turn out to be that they can't have any children, so the whole mitzvah of yibum didn't apply. And what if the mitzvah of yibum doesn't apply? Then this is an erva, eishes achiv. So therefore, in such a case, we don't want them to do yibum when one of them is a cotton or a katana, so maybe it may turn out to be an isser. But that's only if one of them is a gadol or a gedayla. So in such a case, if they're doing an isser, we can't allow them to do an isser. But if both of them are a cotton and a katana, they get married to one another, says Rashi here says, we can't stop them, like the klal is regarding when you have a cotton or a katana that eats even nevelis, Bezdin is not obligated to separate them, to stop them from eating these nevelis. They're doing an isser. So over here as well, if they're both a cotton and katana, so then that's what our mission was speaking about. So then, as the Gemara here concludes, avol cotton abal a katana. If it's a cotton that married the katana, the tarvayu ki adodininu, and they are both the same. They both are not yet. The isser doesn't apply to them when they're still a cotton and a katana. So ki adodininu lo yama. In such a case, Rav Meir did not say that they can't do yibum for one another. Fragt the Gemara, but that's not in our Mishnah. What did it say afterwards? The Mishnah says afterwards, we're also talking about a case where only he is a cotton and she is a gedayla. Exactly the case that you just said that Rav Meir says you can't do any yibum, and it says to Gadlanu that she stays married to him, and then only later, if he wants, he gives her a get. Oh, Rab Chanina Chuzah answers, it could still go according to Rab Meir. Ba Shani, over here we're talking about B'di'evet. Once he already married her. Rab Meir would agree that he could stay married to her. But before, because there's an Isser, could be this Isser, we don't know. If they can't have any children, so then it would be an Isser. So then he said it's not allowed. But the Gemara asks him this, but it says that he continues remaining married to her until he becomes a gadol. So every time he's having married relations with her, and could be there's no mitzvah of yibum here, and therefore could be this is really eishes ach, this is an erve. So how could he continue living with her until he becomes a gadol? Ela machvarte. So therefore, the best pshat over here is, like we said before, masnisin deloik Rab Meir. This Mishnah does not follow Rab Meir's opinion by a cotton and a katana. If one of them is a cotton or the other is a gedayla, and the same thing the reverse, there's no mitzvah of yibum because we're chayshish. Maybe it'll turn out that one of them can't have children here. But now the Gemara has another question b'chlal about this whole concept of yibum happening by a cotton and a katana. How could you have yibum at this point? Kirika, why don't I read over here and apply the pasuk that says lahakim lachiv shame, that the whole point of the mitzvah of yibum is in order to have children and to make a name for your brother, to give a name for a child that's born. So that's the whole point over here. And by a cotton and a katana that can't have any children at this point, so there is no mitzvah of yibum yet. So how is there yibum b'chlal for a cotton and a katana? Omar Abaye says, because there's another pasuk that says, Yevama Yava Yalel, the Yevama marries the Yavam, Kolduhu. No matter, even if, whatever it is, even if it's a cotton and a katana, still the mitzvah of Yibum is done. So this pasuk teaches me even a cotton and a katana. Rava says, Balavachanami lemotza samris. even without this pasuk you're bringing over here, Yevama Yavi Aleh, you can't say the svara that you said before, that when it's a katan and a katana, because they can't have any children at this point, so there's no mitzvah of Yibum at that point. You can't say this, because mi ikim midi, is there any time a case that I'll say regarding Yibum as follows, the hashte asirele, that now when she fell for Yibum, it's going to be aser, because they can't have any children yet. And then a labasa shaita, and then later when they become a gadol and a gedolah sharia, and then it becomes mutter. There's never such a thing. The halacha by Yibum is, you have to look at the time when the Yevama fell for Yibum. If at that time she's asa for Yibum, that issa remains forever, as we learned before in the Masechta. So if you're going to say that over here by a katan and a katana, that when she fell for Yibum, so then she's asa at that point because they can't have any children, so that issa would remain forever. So that can't be. So elamai, even though now she's a katana and they can't have any children, still the mitzvah of Yibum still applies now. She's mutter for the Yibum, and therefore she could do Yibum now, she could do Yibum later when she becomes a gedayla. Okay, but the Gemara asks on this, but how do you know that this is true? Let's finish the subject over here. The Gemara brings the source for this concept that there's no such a thing by Yibum, that at the time of she fell for Yibum, she's asr, and later she becomes mutter. Rav Yudah said in the name of Rav, if at the time that she fell for Yibum, the mitzvah of Yibum does not apply, so then at that point, her status is established as being aser. She's a brother's wife. Sheyesh banim, that had children, and therefore there's no mitzvah of Yibum in such a case. Va'asura, she remains aser forever. So therefore that can't be, and therefore over here we say that even as a katan and a katana, the mitzvah of Yibum does apply. But maybe this is actually true. Maybe the whole mitzvah of Yibum will only apply if the Yevama fell for Yibum as a gedayla, and the Yavam is also a gadol. But in a case where one of them was a katana, and at this point they can't have any children, so therefore now they can't do the mitzvah, maybe I should say that in such a case there will never be a mitzvah of Yibum. Says the Gemara, no, Amakra, the pasuk says, Ki yeshvu achim yachdav. The pasuk says that the mitzvah of Yibum applies when brothers are living together. Afilu ben yom echad. And that means even if the brother, the Yavam, is only 1 day old, still he's a katan, and the mitzvah of Yibum does apply. So if the mitzvah of Yibum applies for a katan, it means that the mitzvah of Yibum applies then, and the mitzvah of Yibum applies later as well, obviously. The Mishnah said, Yevamos Amra b'toich shloishim yom, a Yevama comes and says, before 30 days are up, when she was living in the same house with a Yavam, that we never had any relations with one another, we trust her. After 30 days, we don't trust her anymore. It must be that the husband didn't hold back, or the Yavam, that is, didn't hold back, and had relations with her. Says the Gemara, where does this shiur of 30 days come from? Who said this? Man, Tanadat Lasin Yamim Moikim Minish Anavshei. Who's the one that said that for 30 days a person holds back and it's possible that he did not have any relations with her, but from 30 days and on we say that he definitely did. This is Rab Meir. The Tanya we learned in the Braise, Tainas Besulim. A husband that comes along and says that this wife that I married, she was not a basula, she's not a virgin. Someone had relations with her before. Kol shleishim yom, if it's within 30 days, we trust this taina. We accept this taina that he is having relations with her now for the first time, and he's coming and saying that she was not a basula. David Rab Meir. That's what Rab Meir says, but that's only within 30 days. After 30 days, we say that he probably had relations with her before, and now this is the second time, and therefore we don't accept this taina that she's not a basula anymore. He himself had relations with her before. Rabbi Yosi says, Nistara, if they're living together and they're secluded with one another, la'alter, so then only if he comes right away and says that she's not a basula, we'll trust him. Lai Nistara, if he was never secluded with her, then even after many years, he can come and taina and say that she was not a basula. So we see, according to Rabbi Yosi, there's no such a shiur of 30 days. Immediately, only if he comes and says immediately after he was secluded with her, then we trust him. But afterwards, even within 30 days, we don't trust that he would hold back of having relations with her. And we're going to tell him, look, you probably had relations with her before already. So it's Rab Meir. Rab Meir is the one that gave this shiur of 30 days. So the Gemara, Rabba says, Afilatayim Rabbi Yosi. We can say that our Mishnah does follow, even according to Rabbi Yosi. Over here, Rabbi Yosi would agree that there is this shiur of 30 days. At kan lekam Rabbi Yosi hasam. Over there, Rabbi Yosi says that right away he's going to have relations with her. Ela barusasai. This is the wife that he was mekadesh her. So therefore, the gizba is very comfortable with her. And therefore, we say that probably he right away had relations with her. Aval eishes achiv. But over here we're talking about the mitzvah of Yibum, which it's his brother's wife, it's his sister-in-law, Mivzis Bazis Mina. So over here he's embarrassed from her, so he's not necessarily going to have relations with her right away. So therefore over here, Rabbi Yossi would agree that this is the shiur of 30 days. Up until 30 days he would hold back of relations with her, but after that he wouldn't, and therefore after that we don't trust her to say that he didn't have relations with her.